Welcome to game number 20, Loopers for Life, here in the Tau Grace Marketing and Media Studio with my man, Cousin T Rock from the block. We are missing our caddy, our other co-host who's just, you know, this is what happens with caddies. When you live the life, man, you just disappear. I mean, it's like, what happened to Joey?
Do you think he's out there caddying?
He could be out there.
It's a little wet.
It's a little wet today here in Louisville, Kentucky, but man, it is an exciting time. We are here to talk about the Ryder Cup. We are here to talk about past Ryder Cups, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We are sharing on our Facebook page, so we're live on Facebook. If you want to go on there, you want to share it to your people, let them know that Loopers for Life, we're here to go. Game 20, what's going on there, Teague?
Man, I am pumped up for some Ryder Cup. I don't know if I've been this excited for an actual, I don't know, a Ryder Cup event in a lot of years, man. I'm pumped up.
I am too. I'm I'm looking forward to this one just because of, Americans. We've been losing. I mean, we won the Olympics, which was good, but the Solheim Cup, we've been getting beat down. This Ryder Cup, I mean, realistically, we have been getting beat down. Although the USA has a historical advantage in the Ryder Cup, I believe it's like 26. I wrote it down here. I mean, we got a bunch of dubs. I mean, 26, 14, and 2 or something like that. Since 1985, we have just gotten dominated.
Well, I saw we've lost 7 out of the last 9.
Since 1985, the Europeans have won a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Do you think they care about it more?
12 and a half. They've won 12 and a half of these things. I mean, so they really do care about this a lot more. I mean, they come together. The Great Britain and Ireland. Back when it was started, it was just Great Britain and Ireland. Maybe you would get a Welsh to come in and play in the game, but then opening it up to Europe. Having the greats that came in right there in the late 70s when they did open it up to Europe, having Seve Ballesteros play, he really brought the heart to the Europeans. And it's funny, like 1983 at PGA National down in Florida, in watching the Golf Channel, and you see some of these old past Ryder Cups, and you can kind of get there. That was really the momentum shift in the Ryder Cup.
Yeah,
and it was one that the Europeans came over and felt they really did have a chance to win, and Lanny Watkins kind of saved the day, got up and down with this crazy chip on the 18th hole, which is a par 5 down at PGA National. It's also a host of the Honda Classic, the Bear Trap, and it was, who was the captain of that team for America was one of the last playing captains, and that was Jack Nicklaus. And so
we need to get back to playing captains. That would be cool.
Well,
right?
We know that the captain of our team of America has really. I mean, he could play. I mean, Steve Stricker, but he's 3-7 in the Ryder Cup.
That's a good point.
And and most likely he missed out on picking the best American not to play on this team, the PGA champion. And I'm going to go back and we're going to harp on some Philip Alfred Mickelson because I mean, this guy's had 47 match appearances, more than anybody in the history of the game, and he's not on this team as a PGA champion. I think it's disgraceful to the PGA of America to not have, as a PGA of America member, to not have our champion on the team for the Ryder Cup and during the year.
It's Phil Mickelson, man.
Now
you got to have the guy on the team for the experience, just to be a mentor. There's how many guys are first timers? A lot, right?
This year, this is
a lot.
Rookie. This is rookie central right here.
Not having Phil a part of that just doesn't make sense.
I totally agree. But I mean, going back to your original question, I mean, the tide kind of turned right there, and then the Europeans came over with Seve and all the great, Nick Faldos and all the players that really dominated as we were growing up. Teague, were all Europeans. I mean, Sandy Lau. Yeah. I mean, there was a time there from the mid '80s to the mid '90s to where USA wasn't very good. Right. I mean, our top golfers in the world weren't as good as the world golfers and, the Greg Normans of the world who hold the world rankings and such not. But, Europe came over and they won at Jack Nicklaus's home club in Muirfield.
Yeah.
And, that was a big, big move. They won the following year. after the Tide took the cup back at the Belfry, came back over and defended it and won it again on American soil, went back and retained the cup, and then here comes the War by the Shore. Here comes the Ryder Cup as a major marketing sporting event. I mean, that is the marketing that has came off of the War by the Shore, which is the 1991 Ryder Cup that was played at Kiowa Island Resort, which, again, Pete Dye golf course. Ironically, Joey's not here. Maybe he just didn't want to be around to talk about Pete Dye conversations today because, Whistling Straight is a Pete Dye golf course, and I can't wait to talk about that, even though I've never played it. But, that 1991 Ryder Cup tee just brought so much passion and fuel from the American side that kind of caught back up to us. But the Europeans embrace it more. I mean, and we've seen it this week, haven't we?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, the Europeans, and in my opinion, they care. They're more of a team. We got a bunch of, and look, what did Koepka say? He said, look, I don't like this week because we are so geared to be individuals, and then this one week we're supposed to come together and play together as a team. But look, these guys have played team golf in the past. Right. They've played high school golf. They've played college golf. Right. They've played the Walker Cup.
They played Ryder Cup matches.
I mean,
school versus school.
It's not. I mean, look, I get it that these guys are egomaniacs, and that makes you a good golfer. I understand that. That's part of being at the top of your level. You've got to think you're better than everybody else. But, man, these Ryder Cup, the European side, they just seem like they embrace this thing more.
Well, they sure have, and they've dominated, and they have, and here's the thing. They have the experience this year, too. I mean, mostly we have looked back, and Americans have had that experience. I mean, when you have a player as historical as Phil Mickelson, on that squad, he's going to bring in
Tiger
Woods. And, I mean, and there's a lot to be said about some of the pairings and whatnot, but the Europeans, even then, I mean, with Tiger and Phil, their records aren't impeccable in the Ryder Cup. I mean, Phil Mickelson's the greatest American side, but I mean, he's 18-22-7.
Oh, well, he's got a losing record.
So he's got a losing record right there.
Maybe that's why he's not on the squad.
No, don't say that. I mean, again, he's the PGA champion of this calendar year, and even though this maybe that's the reason. Maybe it was because the points of 2020, well, that can't be it. No. Steve Stricker, you messed up again. Not having Phil Mickelson on your team. He's a PGA champion, and you're playing against the oldest team ever assembled in Europe. I mean, come on, man. I mean, look, Phil's been dominating these dudes forever.
I know. I mentioned this last week. There's only one dude on the European team that I'd never heard of. Typically, there's a few of who is that guy? Because he only plays in Europe.
What was his name again?
I don't even remember.
Brad Weisenberger.
There you go. I don't know who the dude is.
It's not Brad. It's like,
Brad. Probably
it's not Brad.
You read a European name.
It translates to Brad, though.
It maybe translates to Brad.
It translates to Brad.
I don't know, man. Look, they've got some ballers over there, and it's going to be a tough road for the U.S. to win. But I tell you what, man, we're in a situation right now in our country. I think we need this.
We have to win.
We need this win.
Oh, we need it. I mean, I think the Americans know that too. I mean, I think that here's the other thing about why we probably struggle a little bit in the Ryder Cup is not necessarily the team bonding and all that, because they have that, and some of the teams have kind of came through with that. But I also think it's the daily grind of the PGA Tour, Teague.
Yeah.
I mean, and then these guys come off now they've moved the schedules around, and we have this 365-day calendar, blah blah blah. But on an off year, guess what the Europeans do? They do not play golf. Guess what the Americans do? We play in the President's Cup.
Right.
I mean, and so, now we have the President's Cup, and so you have this.
Becomes a little more watered down.
Yeah, now you would think, and I think that's what it is. You would think that maybe it brings the team a little bit more, but I guarantee it brings it to where it's watered down.
Do you think that these guys get up a little bit more for the Ryder Cup than they do the President's Cup?
Oh, you got to.
You think?
Yeah. I mean, the President's Cup is just made up for TV.
Okay.
It's terrible. I mean, I say it's terrible. I'm going to watch it because it's on TV. It's in the fall.
And it's the guys.
It's the President's Cup. It's the best players in the world, outside of Great Britain and Ireland and Europe.
Right.
So you get the South Africans. You get the
Koreans.
the South Koreans. You get the games, the representation across the world. I like that.
Right.
But if you're going to do it and just play against the USA, why not bring in the Europeans on that and just make it some sort of tri-match? They do it. There was a high school tri-match. The Oldham County Cup is a tri-match. It's South Oldham versus North Oldham versus Oldham County. Do that.
Right.
I mean, let's put the Europeans on the same pedestal in their golf game, because they don't play against the world.
Yep.
Now, they play their tour across the world.
Right.
The European tour is in South Africa, it's in Korea, it's in, China, it's in everywhere. But I think the President's Cup does water this down. And that makes a difference between, the guys over there ponding together.
Yeah.
And us just walking in and like, hey, what's up, Teague?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
nice to see you again, bro.
Our talk is all about whether or not Koepka and DeChambeau are going to be paired together.
Well, there's a good possibility of that.
You think?
I do think.
And you can't. Well, look, if you pair them together and somebody yells Brooksy, you can't get thrown out.
Well, I saw that, and I mean, that's that they gotta, and maybe that comes together like back in 2018, the last Ryder Cup in Paris, the Mollywood pairing. Remember, Molinari, and he was paired with Tommy Fleetwood.
Yeah.
They go 4-0. They do not lose a single point during the foursomes and four-ball matches. They go out there. Now, if you're going to pair Bryson and Brooks together, you most likely have to do it in the four-ball format. And the four-ball format, for, again, those who are listening, that is where all four players are playing. You're playing your best ball. It's basically everybody's playing golf, and you're just counting the one best score of the two. The foursomes format, that is where, the partners are going out there, and they're alternating. They're picking who's hitting the shots on the odd and the even holes, and then they go out there and then just play it. So it's not a pure alternate. It's a pick. Hey, I'm going to hit them on hole number 1, 3, 5, and you're hitting them on 2, 4, 6, et cetera. And then, once that ball is played, you're alternating all the way into the hole until the ball's hole.
Now, I have questions about that. So 2 things. So do the captains, so does Stricker, and your vice captains, do they have some say in that? They're like, all right, so.
Well, yeah.
So you're going to do it on this hole. You're going to do it on this hole.
No, I think that's probably more of the players. From what
think?
I've always read is like, the players. And it's interesting is some of the stories of like, when they go up there and the guy who is deemed to hit the opening tee shot of the match.
Yeah.
And is like, hey, bro, I'm not hitting this. You got to hit this. And there is stories to where they have flipped it right there.
Gotcha.
And have like said, hey, you're hitting this because I'm going now. The captains are definitely putting the pairings together. I think the players are going to say, hey, I want to do the odds or the evens. This suits me a little bit better. But once you make that, I mean, it's completely played. But here's what's interesting, Teague, about this. Right? I mean, again, this is now a fact since 1995 that I found, and I was just like, wow, man. Foursomes since 1995, the Ryder Cup, whenever that was, 95, and until this day, 2018, Europe owns and an advantage 55.5 points to our 40.5 points.
Wow.
They're 15 up on us in foursomes. Now, that's the one that everybody's familiar with of the Americans struggling. But really where we have struggled too and equally is in the four ball. We're down in the four ball by 5.
Yeah.
And I mean, and so, where we think that, on paper our guns are coming out and blazing and they're dropping birdies and everything, they're not. And
what
we're
about
getting
the
beat.
individual side?
Now, on the individual side, 75 to 69.
See, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're down. I mean, we've been getting beat down in this thing, T.
Oh, I believe it.
And I mean, and you're right. I think, the golf, the PGA Tour bouncing back. I mean, sports fans coming back. Everything has been really, really exciting.
Golf is big.
Golf big right now, and we're playing in the heartland of America. Now, interesting, we're playing on the heartland of America in an Irish setting, an Irish experience. I mean, the Whistling Straits course is amazing in the sense of like all the dramatic views that you have, but it's even more so of the creativity of Pete Dye, who took basically a dairy farm that was just straight.
Right.
And built a visually Irish experience from anybody that has been there and has also went to Ireland and said, this place is unbelievable.
Place is incredible.
Right. It's unbelievable. So, the look of this place and, so does that give the Europeans an advantage? Or is it the home crowd in the Midwestern crowd? I mean, the Euros are gonna. I mean, these guys grow up playing links golf
I
courses.
don't think that's advantage Europe there. I really don't. We're still in the States here. I don't know.
I would have to say, I mean, and just watching this it looks like a links golf course, but it probably plays more like an American golf course. I mean, you're flying the ball up. I mean, from all the PGA championships that's been there,
I'd have to feel the same way.
It's not a bump and run golf course.
No, absolutely not. And you're not playing some of the shots that you have to play over in Europe, where you're hitting your 3-wood when you're 100 yards out trying to bump it up the hill, and it's not. I don't think it's the same.
No, and I mean, and through you look at the champions that have won there, with the previous PGA championships. I mean, in 2004, you had a guy Vijay Singh win.
Interesting.
And 2010, Martin Kamer. Now there's a European right there.
Yeah.
But then in 2015 you had
Whatever
Jason
happened
Day.
to that dude? He's like falling
Martin
off the face of the
Kamer.
earth.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he won a U.S. Open too. I mean, think
him
about
and
that.
Andrew Kim are hanging out.
Are we going to talk about some Andrew Kim?
Hey, I'm just saying.
I can't wait to talk about that 2008.
I just remember him standing up at Valhalla, shaking that champagne,
dude, and he dominated Sergio.
Did.
The greatest point getter in the history of the Ryder Cup. Sergio Garcia, which is on this team. I mean, this is now his 10th appearance on the Ryder Cup. He is a total of 22, 12, and 7 in his matches, right? But interesting enough, he's only 4-4-1 in singles. Okay. But Anthony Kim and the story of Anthony Kim and that Paul Azinger tells of coming to Valhalla and just saying, hey, you know what? I want to play Sergio Garcia. I want Sergio.
I didn't know that.
He wanted Sergio Garcia, and Azinger's like, hey, I hear you.
Yeah.
I got you, but we don't know how this is going to play out. I mean, we just put our names up, and then they put their names up, and match one is 1, 2.
Okay.
And then it draws out in the 5th.
And he gets Sergio.
And he goes out there and waxes him 5-4. If you remember, he started off like he played like the first 6 holes at 5 under par or 4 under par or something like that. Hold out for an eagle on number 2. I mean, the guy came out birdie 1, eagle 2, or something like that, and just dominated him.
Wow!
And really set the tone that day for America. Anthony Kim, wherever you're at, if you ever want to come on our podcast, we would definitely.
He's not doing anything else.
He's not doing anything. He's out in Vegas. We probably have to pay him like we would Pete Rose. You know what I mean? Give him an appearance fee. I mean, I bet you it's pretty nice.
Look, I feel bad for the guy because he was obviously at the top of the game at one point, and I don't know what happened. But
yeah, well, you know what? What happened is that he dominated Sergio Garcia. That's what happened.
And then he
doesn't have a major championship, but he has an impeccable Ryder Cup appearance, in my opinion.
There you go.
And it was here at Valhalla Golf Club in 2008.
Which, you know what? Another reason that makes the Ryder Cup special to me is I've been able to experience it in person. We've had it in our backyard.
Right.
It's just a cool thing.
Talk about that, Teague. I mean, I want to hear your thoughts as, not only being around golf and growing up golf. I mean, you've been to other golf tournaments before, right?
Sure.
And, what was the difference between that golf tournament and the Ryder Cup?
The feeling, because here's the thing: when you're at another golf tournament, and the PGA Championship's a good example. So you've got guys that you're rooting for. You want to see good shots. You'll root for a foreigner or whatever. I remember Rory McIlroy coming up 18 when he won the PGA Championship.
2014.
We were pumped up.
Right.
It was like, yeah. It's such a different feeling because the entire crowd, you're all on the same team now.
Right.
So you're fist bumping dudes next to you, and it's USA, and it's just, it's just a different feeling. It's like being at like an NFL game or a sports game where you're there with a bunch of other fans cheering for that team. Because in a PGA Championship, it's very you do your golf clap, and it's you're not high fiving everybody around you unless it's Tiger Woods coming up making a comeback, but. It's a different feeling. The USA, the Ole.
It was definitely the team event. And, the coolest thing about that, I had some really great experiences I want to share that week. But, one of the coolest things, too, when you're there is listening to the radio broadcasters on the headsets.
Oh, yeah,
and
that's
remember,
right.
And realistically, I listened to American guys. Mm-hmm. I had the BBC guys on the entire time. I wanted to hear, I don't know if it was wanting to hear the British excellence, talk about it, or just listen to them explain how we were kicking their arse.
Right.
And we kicked their arse that day.
You just wanted to hear the accent.
Well, and it was especially in that event and going back. I mean, with being a Kentuckian, having it in your backyard, it's going to be like a lot of the Wisconsin guys. But, Steve Stricker in general. We had J.B. Holmes and Kenny Perry, both of the PGA Tour that were Kentucky guys on that team, playing in front of their home crowd, playing, in front of their nation.
But see, that wasn't a great captain's pick because they knew they were going to have everybody behind them.
I mean, and that's why he was Captain America, Paul Azinger.
Yeah.
I mean,
great captain.
I'm going to tell my first PGA, the Ryder Cup story on this is on Captain America.
Let's go.
Driving back from the opening ceremonies, which was one of the days that I volunteered. And I had an even better story on the way down there that I'll share towards the end. But driving back, I got to drive back the captain, or I went to where the wives.
So you were a shuttle driver?
I was a shuttle driver on an 8-passenger cart, and I had to go back to the team little clubhouse that was on the side of the driving range at Valhalla. It was where they store all the old balls and all the basically where they do the range duties. Well, they flipped it, and it was a players captain, like the captains and wives and all that were there, and that's where they watched the opening ceremonies. Well, the players that went back there. So, anyways, I got to drive Azinger and his wife, and I think Lanny Watkins, who was the other assistant that was on the his vice captain or somebody, and they're from the range all the way up to the clubhouse at Valhalla, and driving Captain America. Literally, people were coming all over. I mean, they were coming past the ropes on there.
Sure.
They're like, "Singer!"
I mean,
and it was one of the most incredible drives that I have ever done up Valhalla. And as a caddy at Valhalla, and that was just such a special week for me because that's where I learned the game. That's where really I got involved in golf and decided I wanted to become a PGA professional and blah, blah, blah. That drive of Azinger up to the clubhouse and his wife was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. I mean, they were coming out of the woodwork. I mean, you want to talk about the patriotism and everything that the Ryder Cup is.
Yep.
And, so I think that you're right. I mean, this is this really is comparable to the World Cup.
It is.
Soccer. I mean, they say that is the most watched sporting event. I would have to bet the Ryder Cup is right up there.
I'm excited to see what TV numbers are.
Oh, they're always crazy.
They've got to be pretty good, I would think.
They're always crazy. So, I mean, the interesting take of this year's Ryder Cup is just going to be, how do the young Americans, with hardly any experience, come in against the heavy favored, well, they're not even favored, but the heavy experience of the Europeans. I mean, on this European team, let's talk about the experience first, okay? Let's talk about Ian Poulter.
Yeah.
Now, here's one of the great...
Poulter, man, he can play. He has shown that he's a gamer when it's on the line.
In the Ryder Cup, he is 14-6-2. Now, here's more impressive. 14-6-2 in the Ryder Cup, but he is 5-0-1 in singles. He's never lost a singles match.
Seems like a weird dude, though.
Yeah, man, you want to talk about a guy that fires up Europe, though. I mean,
he does. He does.
He's a weird. I mean, he's a weird cat, but
he seems like he's into some weird
stuff. His weird stuff is just driving cars really fast and wearing funky pants.
I mean, I don't know,
I'm a Poulter fan. I am an Ian Poulter fan. The guy looks like Gargoyle in on the Smurfs. You know what I'm talking about? When he gets on, I just respect his passion for it, and he has been a world class player.
He has.
I mean, so this is his 7th appearance. I mean, 14-6-2. I mean, he's never won a major, right? But he's made his career just like Anthony Kim did on the Ryder Cup. And have another guy, I mean, that is huge. I mean, again, here's another guy that's never won a major, but Paul Casey. I mean, Paul Casey that is playing. He's got 5. This is his 5th appearance. He's got plenty of world experience. But the main thing is he may have been, outside of John Rahm, probably the best player from Europe this whole year. I mean, his finishes, on the PGA Tour and in the major championships on the European Tour have been fantastic. I mean, he's coming in playing some solid golf, too.
Right.
And then, another guy that has, well, I mean, how can you not talk about this guy? I mean, again, started the year off like a barn burner, and that's Lee Westwood making his 11th appearance. He's got 23 points. He's only behind Sergio Garcia in points. He has a record here of 20-18-6, and honestly, this is tying him for the most appearances ever on the European team with Sir Nick Faldo. So that's elite company right there. Now, again, you look at Lee Westwood. What has he done in his career? Won everywhere, but no majors. Won the TPC. Hey, great job, right? So we got to give him that. But, he's made his name in the Ryder Cup.
He's been a letdown when it comes to what he was supposed to do in golf.
Yeah. Now, and then they also have Shane Lowry, who is making his, the Irishman. He's his first experience in the Ryder Cup, but he is a world-class.
Open
2 years ago, world-class player. And then they got, their young guns. And their young guns are Rory McIlroy, Matt Fitzpatrick, who's had a fantastic year, Victor Hovland, who's making his first Ryder Cup experience. You got John Rahm, number 1 player in the world, second Ryder Cup. And then, a guy like did I say Terrell Hatton?
No.
No, and this guy is good. This guy is, top 5 in the European merit this year.
Yep.
Plays some really solid golf. Won some big tournaments with a lot of the Europeans there. And this is his second appearance on the Ryder Cup team.
You haven't mentioned Fleetwood.
Well, yeah, and we talked about Mollywood. This is his second appearance, 4-1-0. Did lose a singles match, but did not lose with Molinari on his squad, and they're going to be loaded. Now on the American side, let's talk about how many first timers that we have. Colin Morikawa.
Yep.
Right. We have Pat Cantley.
Yep.
Daniel Berger.
Yep.
Harris English.
Schauffele.
Xander Schauffele. Scotty Scheffler. There's a great Scotty. Yeah.
Man, I tell you what, you stack these two teams up. Now, Lee Westwood is probably a little bit past his prime.
Where's Phil Mickelson?
But gosh, where's Phil Mickelson? That's what I'm saying. Like,
Come on, Steve Stricker.
If we lose, it's got to be because they didn't put some of these experienced guys there.
Oh, this year, I'll go with this, T. Their best player in America forever outside of Tiger Woods in the world was who?
Phil Mickelson.
Right. And he won the PGA Championship what year?
This year.
Right. How is he not on this team?
Now,
I don't care
he's
if
involved, right?
He's involved as a vice captain. He's involved as somebody that hopefully will not get all the questions of, man, what would you have done, Phil, if you were playing? Well, I would have probably just dropped bombs on him.
I would have activated the calves.
I would have activated the calves. Paul Casey would have been intimidated. He would have gone out there and dominated all these dudes. Shane Lowry, he would have beat. I'm going to tell you right now, he would have beat Poulter. He would have beat Lowry.
Yeah.
He would beat Garcia.
Yeah.
He would have beat Paul Casey.
I agree.
He would have beat Matt Fitzpatrick.
Has Stricker had to answer that question yet?
Oh, I hope so.
Have you heard him answer?
I have not heard him answer that, but
I'm gonna look this up.
I think that if he has an answer, it's going to be the worst answer in America. Because, this guy needs to be on the team. Now, with that being said, the Americans are stacked. We look at paper, we are definitely the favorite because we got the better players in the world ranking. You got with Morikawa, who has no Ryder Cup experience, one of the best players in top 10 player in the world, Dustin Johnson, Bryson DeChambeau, you got Brooks Koepka, you got JT, I'm pumped to watch this guy. Here's what I like.
What's his record?
You want to talk about
right?
His Ryder Cup record is he's got one appearance. This is his second appearance. He was 4-1-0. He lost his singles match. He won his singles match when he was over here, but he was the first American to win 4 points in his Ryder Cup debut.
Yeah.
And so first American to win 4 points since forever, and this is back in Paris. But he's 6-2-2 in the President's Cup records too, which we had already talked about. Who cares about it? But it shows his passion for playing the team. And that guy, I bet you in 2008 when he was a little whippersnapper over there, what that Ryder Cup do to JT? How great did that make him?
Yeah, put him on the national
especially with
stage.
his dad's presence, because at that point in time,
Yeah.
Master Mike was on the national board of directors, so
Right.
he had the all access pass,
Right.
which I've had Master Mike's All Access Pass before, and I got to experience that at the 2000 PGA Championship, and got to
That's
eat
cool.
lunch inside with the players and
Yeah.
all that. Oh, it was crazy. So I would I would expect that the experience that JT had during that was by far one of the greatest in his life, and definitely influenced him to continue to move the needle like he has done and play and embrace
Yeah.
all these teams that he's been on. I mean, he was a Walker Cup champion, dominated the Walker Cup too. So, having JT on there. And then you got Pat Cantley. I mean, Pat Cantley and Tony Finau and Xander Schauffele. I mean, you look at those top six or top 7 or 8 players that we have are awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
I mean, they're way better on paper, right?
Here's what I'm excited to see. So in these team matches, you've got a guy like Bryson DeChambeau who obviously has a skill set of being able to just hit absolute just nukes. So do you put him with somebody that's a little safer and say, all right, DeChambeau, you're hitting driver every hole. You're going to try to see we're trying to just do something crazy like scramble, break out scramble mode.
Yeah.
Swing out your shoes. And then, JT over here is going to make sure we got par.
Right.
But you go and get this birdie.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, with 4-ball, you put Bryson out there. I mean, and that's
you got to put him with somebody safe, though, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You definitely have to you got to have the guy that's going to grind the par. But I mean, on the foursome side, do you even play him? I mean, because he's going to hit it and he's going to go, just dropping bombs out there.
You play him because it's the same thing. I mean,
but well, it is the same thing. But he's also, he has the ability when you're swinging it that hard, that fast, you could put it over in one of those sandy areas that Dustin Johnson lost the PGA Championship in 2015.
I think you take that. I think you take that chance with him and just say, look,
2010,
dude,
excuse me.
He's been training for the long drive championships,
Right?
And so I think
he's playing in that next week.
And I think he's getting some distance here. Man, let him hit it. Let him hit it.
I mean,
Let's
but
see where
in
it goes.
foursomes again, when you're playing the other ball, I mean, you don't want your partner playing from the sand pits, and this is what that place is. I mean,
but he
once
might be driving the green and putting.
Well, that's the truth there too. And I mean, and when you really look at his stats, he's probably more straight than he is crooked.
Right.
I mean, because that guy
that's what he does. He trains to do this.
Yeah, and so you got a good point there. And I mean, and that is going to be the dynamic. Is like, how do they play with all? Are they going to? Yes, we Americans want it. We want the Brooks Bryson matchup. I think everybody in golf wants it. Bring it. Let's go with that. Let's throw it out there that first day. Let's not. I don't know if I would throw that out in the foursomes though. I don't know if I would throw. But
how disappointed will people be
if they don't get it?
No, if they get together and they're friends.
Oh, I think it's coming. I think you're going to see some bromance coming,
especially
if they win.
There
will be some bromance. Yeah. Now, if they go out there and they get beat like Tiger and Phil did back in, when they were playing in Wells, and
that
we
was
lost.
always, should we put them together?
Yeah, should we put
thing.
them together? Should we not? And then Hal Sutton made the decision to put them together. And not only did he put them together, he put them together twice, and they lost both matches.
Waxed.
Yeah, and so then it backfired on him because everybody's like, well, why would you do that? Tiger and Phil could each get a point by themselves.
Right.
I mean, they're the best players in the world. So, but in this situation, I think that as the sports fans and American golf fans, let's bring that. Let's put that together. Now, where all the other matches are going to come through, and they're doing the pod system, which was created by Paul Azinger.
Which is what?
Basically, where the 4 guys get together and they say, "Hey, you 4 guys are going to be kind of like paired together. Y'all play together all your practice rounds, and it may be me and you, it may be me and Joey."
But it's your 4 dudes. It's kind of in your little pod.
Your little
I gotcha.
And that was a big thing that Azinger brought to the 2008 Valhalla table. I mean, where we were getting dominated, hadn't won really in quite some time. The Ryder Cup really since 1999, the comeback at Brookline, the Country Club, which was one of the greatest days in sport. Again, the historical comeback to where it was only matched years later in Medina where we lost it, Davis Love.
Right.
One of my favorite Ryder Cup uniforms ever was this the shirt that they wore on Sundays, and it was this polo Ralph Lauren, and I sold it in the golf shop.
Did you?
And I like some polo, right?
Oh, yeah.
Man, I had this shirt, and I mean the collar popped, and it had different colors on it. But, bro, they lost in that shirt, and I would not wear it afterwards. You want to talk about I was like, man, I'm not wearing a shirt that America lost in.
I'll never forget, man. We were at some sort of golf show. You had a polo shirt on and had a big logo.
The Jody Meeks collection.
And the dude walked up and he goes, "It's a big ass horse on your shirt." You remember that?
I do remember that. I say that as a Jody Meeks collection because I saw him on one of the websites one day when he was dropping 50 on everybody, and he had a big old polo pony on. I was like, man, I got to give me one of those. That is horsepower. But it's the pairings and, like, do you put them together, and how do you go about, like, working these rookies in, and especially your captain's picks. I mean, let's be honest. Let's not play Scotty Scheffler. I mean, until we have to.
He's going to play.
I know he is. I mean, I'm looking.
They say he's on the team because they say he's a birdie machine.
Oh, he's played awesome. I mean, his last 2 months on the tour has been phenomenal. And Daniel Berger, I mean, again, he's played great. Harris English, he's played great. But you're not playing. You didn't win a major like Phil Mickelson did you? Oh, this is going to kill me. I mean, this whole week watching.
It's a poor move.
Every time they show Phil.
It's a poor move, man.
Right.
It didn't make sense. How you don't have one of, look, it's like Tiger. If Tiger's playing, you got to think about it. You got to think about it now. All right, what's Tiger going to say in this speech?
Well, that's great. What do you think? I mean, it seems like this speech.
Can he walk? I don't say that.
Yeah, he can walk.
Is he okay?
Yeah, I mean, everything now he's been seeing. TMZ has him walking. So I mean,
because I was thinking like maybe they wheel him in a wheelchair and then he stands up and takes a couple steps and everybody's like,
I don't think he's going to be there.
Oh, so it's going to be like a Zoom
everything,
thing?
Yeah, it's a Zoom thing, which I feel like is weak on Tiger's part. Hopefully,
that is weak.
Hopefully, that is what they're telling the media and Tiger. I mean, dude, hop in your jet. Fly up there. Yeah. Hop in your jet. Fly up there. It's on Nike's dime, bro.
Right.
Ain't nobody charging you gas fees.
Right.
Roll up in there and just say, hey, what up? Let's go dominate these dudes.
Yeah.
Get fired up. Come out like that would be hilarious. That would be great, man. I would love to see that.
That's what needs to happen.
Now, if they do that, that would be an all-time like ESPN Plus.
Or he just gets up and falls down or something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, his record in the Ryder Cup isn't all that great either. I mean, he's there's a guy, the greatest player in the world that has struggled in four balls and foursomes. Obviously his singles record's pretty good, but when you look at across the board, I mean, some people are made for this event, some people aren't. And to your point, when we first started this pod, hey, the Europeans are all about it.
They are.
They will make their career.
Care.
Hey, yeah, dude, they're going to eat fish and chips for life.
You
think Impulture's ever going to have to buy fish and chips?
Well, do you think that anybody on the Ryder Cup team would say this week sucks?
Oh, not on their squad.
I mean, because we're all built for individual.
They look to the stars and
man.
line with Seve, and I mean,
they'd
it's
smack
kind of like
that dude up, and he wouldn't play.
It's kind of like at Medina when we lost to Medina in that Ryder Cup 2012 or 14. I can't remember which one it was, but it was the one where they came back and Jose Maria Olazabal was captaining against Davis Love, and Seve had just died, and I mean, and we were waxing them, and then here they come on the singles day. Here comes Justin Rose beating Phil Mickelson with almost 100 yards worth of putts in 2 holes. He makes like a.
All right, now that shirt.
That's the shirt I'm talking about. It was the blue and white one with the pop the collar.
See, I'm thinking like the red one that had like all the big framed pictures on it.
Oh, that is the 1999 Brookline. That was the comeback.
Awful.
That was. But I mean, if you could have one Ryder Cup shirt and just rock as a retro.
That's the only one I remember,
dude. I mean, that was the one that was Justin Leonard making the putt.
I'm saying, the long putt,
the long putt on the 17th hole and ran across all the Americans.
Davis Love ran up and gave him the hug. I remember all that.
Oh, and I guess he was playing against Olazabal, wasn't he? I believe he was, and and he had a putt to have it and rolled it right over the hole. I mean, it was an incredible putt after all the drama that went down. But that shirt. I mean, there's always about the uniforms and whatnot, but it's the patriotism. It kind of goes back to what we started. This makes. That makes this event different than any other event in golf, and you have it at the President's Cup, but really, you don't have it. I mean, yeah, it's rah, rah,
You
rah,
don't.
but you don't. I mean,
You know, something else that's interesting about the Ryder Cup that you don't ever see at these other events is you see all these wives hanging out in a pack.
Right.
And they always show the shot of the wives behind the green, and it's interesting because it's because I remember it was one year Ricky Fowler didn't have anybody there, and he was like the bachelor, and
Right.
it was just they kept going back to Ricky's just kind of on his own, and that's kind of it's an interesting element
It
they
is.
add to it too.
And to that point, I mean, I'll go to another great story in 2008. The same day when I was, shuttling players, I had the responsibility of shuttling players to the opening ceremony. And so, like, I was parked Johnny on the spot, first cart. Then I kind of get big time by one of the Kentucky, board of directors or
Gotcha.
something like that. He's like, "Oh, Josh, you go back there and you drive the last cart."
You go there.
Yeah.
Josh.
So like, and I was like, at first I thought I was driving all team players down there, but I had nobody. But and this is where the story gets good though. I was sitting there waiting for all the teams to come out. And out of the clubhouse, I was now in the last cart, which was parked directly in front of the clubhouse door. Out comes Boo Weekley. And this is before Boo Weekley becomes the hero of outside of all the other heroes that were displayed today. But he rode the horse in the final matches, and I mean, and he had a fantastic week. But he was out there, and to Brooks Koepka's point, he came out and he was like, "Hey man, can I sit down in this cart?" And like literally sits down in the cart with me, and he's like, "Man, I just can't take this." He's got his tie on, his suit. He's like, "Man, this just hit me," and he's country is country, and he was country, and and so we sit there and have some small talk. Well, another one of your shaved head brothers comes up, only the biggest golf reporter in the history, which is now I'm Tim Rosenwald.
Oh, wow.
You remember Tim? And Tim comes up and does this interview with him that I don't even really kind of think it's an interview, but he's just sitting there talking to him.
Right.
I get home later on that night, and that was all.
So they did it in your cart.
Yeah, basically, and it wasn't like a video interview. It was just
Wow.
Tim just coming up and like, "Hey, Boo, how you doing?" And Boo's like, "Man, blah blah blah," and he's he tells the same story that he told to me. He's like, "It's just I'm nervous and this, that, and the other," and I've never been in one of these, and he never played on the Walker Cup or anything
And that was
like that.
probably it. That was his one run.
Yeah, and so then later on that night when I get home after the day that I was watching the Golf Channel, and and basically Tim does a whole live from Valhalla and talks about that whole conversation that he had with Boo Weekley, which was really cool. So fast forward, the team comes out and everybody drives down. They go to open ceremonies. I'm scrubbed because I'm in the back cart, right? And they're like, "All right, everybody over here in these last 6 carts, y'all going over to the 18th tee and y'all picking up some people out of the tent." Well, we go over there and we do that because that's what we were told to do. Well, that tent was a PGA of America tent, and it was past Ryder Cup captains. So, again, I'm like kind of like in the back, and we do this circle where it puts me into the front. And then they're like, "Oh, no, y'all got to move your cars." Well, we move them again, and now I'm in the back, and I'm like, dude, I am getting scrubbed all day, right? And I mean, I got this 8-passenger cart. I want to be the guy that's just rolling down there with nobody in the cart. Well, as they all start walking out, guess who's the guy with nobody in the cart? Me. Well, there's one last door open, and they're like, no, you just wait. There's somebody else. Out comes Jack Nicklaus.
Oh, my goodness.
Out comes Jack Nicklaus and Barbara and Sam Torrance and his wife, and there was like 2 others that I can't remember, and this old guy. And I was just like, and so I'm the last cart. Guess who goes shotgun in my cart?
Oh,
Jackie Nicklaus.
cool.
Oh, dude. And I'm freaking out, man. I'm like, I have gone scrubbed all day, and like, who cares about Boo Weekley?
Right.
It was a good story while I was there, but Jack Nicklaus gets in the cart, and I drive him from the side of where the PGA of America's captain's tent or whatever their tent was on the side of 18 on the left side of that fairway, all the way down to the opening stage, which was on the back side of the range of Valhalla, and like literally. Get
was
in.
you driving real careful? Like, was it like
It's Jack Nicklaus, bro? yeah. I was 10-2, boy. I was like, yes. It was like
you
one of
can't
the
wreck
best.
that cart.
Oh, it was one of the best cart rides this guy's ever got. I promise you. And so, like, and literally, I was like, "Hey, Mr. Nicklaus, I just want to let you know that I grew up here as a caddy." And I gave him the I love Valhalla. And he was like, "Oh, this is,"
right.
he was like, "We've really made," and like, he was like, "I'm really excited to see how the changes I've made because this is now the PGA owns Valhalla and they've made like 40 changes like they've done already. And they're doing currently with, in
Okay.
preparation for the PGA Championship. So get to make some small talk, say something like that.
And he was friendly?
Like, he was very friendly.
Good.
Drop them all off, Teague, right? This old guy in the back. Drop them all. Like, everybody gets out. And like Jack and Barbara get out. Sam Torrance gets out. I think, again, there was somebody else. It was can't even remember who it was. Another European was there. And he gets out. And there's this old guy in the back. He was the last guy in, this old guy. He's like, sir, would you mind driving up a little bit further? And he goes, British accent. And I was like, what?
Right.
And there was like literally ropes. And he's like, no, it's okay. Just drive up a little bit further. Like, I was like, all right. So I just lift a rope, roll it all up. Have to lift another rope. Like, somebody comes up, like, you're not supposed
Like,
to
what are
drive.
you doing,
And he's
dude?
like, yeah, it's okay. I'm and out of it, I have no idea who this guy is, right, bro?
Okay.
No idea. Drop him off, drive through 3 different ropes, drive back, lifting the ropes,
Right.
as I do it. Come to find out, I come home and, like, literally, I'm like, who was that old guy, right? John Jacobs was who that was. And if you don't know who John Jacobs is, John Jacobs is one of the greatest golf professionals, and I say golf professionals, not a professional golfer. He was a very accomplished professional golfer for the European side, but he is one of the greatest golf professionals, teachers of the game. Probably has influenced more people in Europe how to play golf. He was the Harvey Pinnock.
Okay.
You know who Harvey Pinnock is?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the little red,
book, sure.
He was the Harvey Pinnock of the European golf. He has wrote so many fantastic books, Practical Golf being one of them. And, John Jacobs, it was a Ryder Cup captain and a Ryder Cup player. And you look at his history, and, I mean, his record speaks for itself.
Sure.
But, come to find out he was, John Jacobs. And as a even then, 2008, when I was a head professional, I mean, the thing that got me into golf back when I was in 1993 caddying at Valhalla is the Harvey Pinnock. I mean, the little red book. I've always wanted to be a golf coach
Right.
for my membership or whoever was in front of me. And, and now, ironically, that's all I do. But John Jacobs was a great influence leading up to that. And I had no
Where'd
idea.
you take him?
I took him all the way up to the very last place I could take him. It was just like he did not want to walk.
Okay, gotcha.
So, I mean, he was probably at this point in time, 2008. I mean, he died a few years back, and he was in his 90s when he passed. So,
Gotcha.
he was definitely in his, late 80s at this
Okay.
point in time.
Okay.
And it was just really a cool experience looking back on it. Not only did it that day and that one day at the Ryder Cup, at the opening ceremonies, I watched a Golf Channel interview go down.
Yeah.
Got to drive the greatest player in
Yeah.
the history of the game.
Yeah.
Not you know who I'm talking about, right? Who's the
Jack-
greatest player in the history of the game?
Well, Jack Nicklaus.
Yes, not Tiger Woods.
No,
We had
Jack
that
Nicklaus.
conversation.
I'm
right.
with you there.
So, and then, and really did not care about that old man because I drove Captain Azinger back,
Right.
which was on the way back in, and then just to get to find out that John
Man,
Jacobs
so
was in
you
there.
so
I love
you
the Ryder
thought you
Cup.
got scrubbed and all that.
Oh,
but
dude,
you
it was
ended up
terrible,
getting-
man. I mean, I was so mad, and then I ended up
And
having
then you
to
have it all of it.
Oh, I did. I mean, it was the greatest. I mean, like things. They always say things work out for a reason.
Yeah.
There it was, right there. So this Ryder Cup, and let's hope that we have those type of vibes in Wisconsin, in Middle America that we had here in Kentucky that week. We need this one. Let's go back to like what we started with. We need this Ryder Cup. Right, T?
Have to. I mean, the United States of America needs this for various reasons, not just from a golf standpoint. And they keep kicking our tails. We need this for a morale standpoint. I mean, things are just, from politics are a mess. Everything's a mess. We need this thing. We need this win.
I agree. I mean, the Olympics were a mess this year.
They were.
I mean, as much as the Olympics is, that get behind America moment. I mean, who knew the Olympics was even going on? What was the medal count in the Olympics? I couldn't tell you.
The United States won.
Yeah, I know they
a
did, but I
lot.
mean, but it was not what it has been in the past because of the fan experience over there. There was none.
Yeah.
I think that just seeing sports come back and seeing this and getting post-pandemic for both sides. I mean, this is big. Hey, this is a big one for Padraig Harrington.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, the captain of the European squad. I mean, that guy is the man. He literally has a case to be playing on this team. I mean, he's had a phenomenal year.
He really does.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a phenomenal, but he chose and has said prior, he's like, hey, I know I'm playing well and I'm, trying. He goes, but I'm captain.
Yeah.
And, and with Paul McGinley, who's been the past Irish captain,
Right.
the Irish pride that's going to be out there. I mean, these guys know how to fire people up.
Oh, they do.
And, I mean,
Is Darren Clark involved? He always has been.
Yeah, I don't know. I bet you he's going to be there. I mean, Darren Clark just won a tournament.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he just won on the Champions
senior,
Tour,
yeah.
right? So, I mean, I would have to say he's going to be involved in some fashion. But let's hope more than anything that Tiger Woods makes the appearance, like you said. He flies up
roll
there,
him up, man.
roll him up
Let
with
him
his
stand up, just give a
yeah.
big old "Let's go USA."
Oh my gosh! And then dominate Phil Mickelson in in some paddle tennis, like they like to play. He could dominate. They say Phil's the best in paddle tennis.
Oh,
but,
that'd be great.
Well, I'm really excited. I mean, about this week. I love the Ryder Cup. Teague. I just want to tell you this. I mean, I love the Ryder Cup. I think
I do too.
The 91 one at the War by the Shore just kind of put this on the map for me personally.
Yeah.
That's right when I got into golf. The 99 Ryder Cup, working, seeing that come back. I was working at Harmony Landing, and just the feel of that and those historically ugly shirts that they had on.
Mm-hmm.
But to see that. How much when I owned a golf shop, how much I enjoyed buying Ryder Cup merchandise and seeing it fly out because, that was the only week that you can have merchandise just fly off the table.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted the USA.
Wanted the USA.
Oh, everybody.
Yep.
I mean, and then to where we are at now with this, we've been beat down. And so my prediction is that we're going to find a way to get a dub. And I think that, it's definitely going to come down to the singles matches. It's, on the last day, and what better way to go, I mean, and see like one of the big matches. I mean, let's see a Rory McIlroy versus a Justin Thomas.
Yeah, coming down at the end.
Yeah, let's see a John Rahm versus Brooks Koepka.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Or a DJ.
Yeah, hey, let's see Tommy Fleetwood get his arse kicked by Colin Morikawa.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Colin is a baller. And so, I
Can I tell you what I want to see? I want to see the Americans care.
Yeah, I do too.
I want to see them care. I want to see the passion. I want to see the camaraderie. I want to see them cheering each other on. I want to see them care. That's what I want to see. And I think if they care, they win.
And it starts with Brooks and Bryson.
Yeah, because Brooks is already acting like he doesn't care.
Well, I think he's sly in his words like that. I mean, when you look at it, he cares. I mean, he cares.
I want to see him care.
I mean, you got to see him care because I mean, he's got a 4-3-1 record. And so he knows that he's going to be playing on a lot of these teams, and they're going to be measured ultimately by like how Sergio Garcia is. Mm-hmm. Sergio Garcia has 25 points. He has more points than anybody in the Ryder Cup history, and he has more points than our team combined this year.
Do you think these guys understand how much this does for their brand? Because think about it, you wouldn't know who Boo Weekley was if it wasn't for the Ryder Cup.
Never won a major.
Or really Andrew Kim, or there's people that put themselves on the map because of this event. Do you think they know that?
Well, I think it's hard. That's a great question. In Europe, they do. In Europe, they do, right? But in America, they don't. I mean, can you put your name on there? You got to be special like an Anthony Kim and then have something to take away because, when you look at, Bryson and he's going to say, well, the U.S. Open. Yeah. Brooks is going to say, well, all that stuff is better. Maybe a guy like JT doesn't. I mean, JT, his passion for playing in this is probably created in 2008 with those Kentucky boys that went out and dominated and got points that day for us.
He was there.
Yeah, and so I think that but it does build their brand. I think that in America is probably not as much because I mean they're caring about that $2.5 million that they win playing the John Deere Classic up there in Illinois, right? But this year we got to get it.
Yeah.
We got to get it, man. I mean, so I'm really excited for the final day to see some of these matches and then how they play out. I don't know how I would rank them if you had to rank like who do you send out first and then who do you have playing last. And I guess really because there is no fantasy talk this week, we're kind of coming up on the tail end of our pod here. Who would you play first and who would you play last on both teams, T?
All right. I think I'm going to roll out Dustin Johnson last just because from a talent perspective, he should be the best guy in the field. I think he
has played well here.
He has, and he should be the number one golfer in the world. I mean, just he's got all the tools, and I think if he wants to beat you, I think he can beat you.
Right.
So I think Dustin Johnson, somebody you either roll out first or last, probably last. And then the other guy you roll out first, man, maybe a Morikawa, somebody that's a rookie, but somebody that can probably go get the win. That's going to be a really solid player. He's not going to make mistakes. You don't want somebody out there rolling out first and going out there and shooting 80.
So if you're
you know what I mean?
So if you're Patrick Harrington, who you rolling out first and last?
Well, last you got to go with Rory, in my opinion, because he's your star. I think he's your stud, and then or Rahm. It's either Rory or Rahm, and I think that's your bookends.
Mm-hmm.
I think you either put Rory first or Rahm first, or vice versa.
Yeah, I'm going to roll out first. I would roll out Jordan Spieth. I mean, now I say that, and Jordan is 0-3 in singles. All right, but this is why I would roll him out. He's 7-5-2 in his Ryder Cup appearances.
Is he?
Yeah, but he's 0-3. He's not won a singles match, and so I would put him out first because of what you just said earlier. Though you want somebody who's going to go out there, who's going to make par, who's not going to beat himself, he's going to grind and put himself in a position to win. And I think Jordan does it. I think Jordan has a really big week this week.
But if he's not making putts from all over the world, is he any good? That's just it. He doesn't have the physical tools these other guys have. He doesn't hit it like these other guys have. He doesn't have the talent these other guys have.
Oh my
he
gosh.
just makes putts.
What? This guy's been, you're a player hater on Jordan Spieth.
He makes putts from
have talent. This guy's got 4 majors, bro.
He makes putts from everywhere.
Oh my gosh, man! Now
it's like he's got like the old Tiger Woods luck, where it goes in the tree and just pops out in the middle of the fairway. I don't know, man. I'm not.
I like going out. I would put him out there. I mean,
I'll take that argument, Justin Thomas. I think Justin Thomas maybe is the guy you do that with.
Well, I would look for Justin Thomas. The interesting picks are not just 1 and 12. It's really right there at the anchor, like 7, 8, and 9. Those are where the matches are going to be determined. That's going to be like who wins the point to win the Ryder Cup. You know what I mean? The first few matches could go either way, whatever. But matches 7, 8, and 9, when they go out there, they're the ones that are playing with the most pressure down 15 and getting it to the back 9. When you get to the latter half of these matches, and it's been known for years, I mean, sometimes it's on the line, sometimes it doesn't matter. How many get to the 18th hole? I mean, that's going to be an interesting thing to watch on this golf course. But I would definitely put in a JT right there. And then, I would agree with you on the Dustin Johnson. He is the guy that I would want to have in that last match if it all came down to it. He's that good, and he's that nonchalant.
He is.
And I mean, it's not going to be
the moment's going to bother
right.
him.
And it's not nonchalant that he doesn't care, but I mean,
right.
it's like, you know what? He's going to hit his shot. He's going to do his thing. He has handled. Just like all the things that have come his way, he's always handled it with more class and more. Who cares attitude. It's just golf than anybody in this field.
Will Gretzky be there?
Oh, yeah. You talking about Paulina?
Yeah. Well,
she just broke her foot.
Dad. I'm talking about Wayne Gretzky.
Well, apparently they're getting married.
He was in the past.
Oh, I'm sure he'll be there. He's the great one. I mean, and it's close to Canada. That guy might go up there and go ice skating or something like that.
But it's like, he's like, all right, well, maybe you beat me that hole, but look at my wife compared to yours.
So, I mean, I think that, when you look at, a good one to go out first would be Patrick Cantlay. I mean, he's the best player in the world. Now, that's right now, the hottest player in the world. Let me say that.
He's the hottest.
He's the hottest player in the world, and he is the most consistent in the sense of finding fairways.
Right.
His last, we talked about this a week ago. I mean, his last 4 tournaments, he had every round in the 60s. 16 straight rounds under par is crazy. Yeah. Crazy good. So,
all right, hey, we got a minute.
All right.
Wrap it.
All right. Well, let's go with Americans winning this Ryder Cup 16 to whatever 16 to 12, I believe, or something like that.
16. What's the winning number?
I don't even remember. I'm just saying 15 and a half, 14 and a half usually.
It's something and a half.
Yeah, so there's 29 points, I think, in the match. So it's 14 and a half is what puts you over the edge or something. I don't know. Hey. Americans get the dub, though, right?
Go USA.
Americans get the dub. Let's go. Brooksy. I want to see it. Brooks and Bryce and Steve Stricker. Do not make me call you out next week for not having Phil Mickelson on this team.
Hey, he better get the win.
But, I mean,
that's what's happening.
If you get the win, I'm going to give you a mulligan. But, man, you messed up by not having the greatest Ryder Cup player for America ever. 47 matches, 18, 22, and 7. He's got 18 points, which makes him number one. He's got 22.
He does have a losing record.
But I mean, he's got more points than anybody that's ever scored in America on the 18 side. But man, thanks for listening. Check us out on all of our multimedia outlets. Again, this is powered by Talgrate's Marketing and Media.
Go USA.
Go USA. Let's roll it, Teague.